Hello friend, welcome to all of you. This is chapter number 3, theories of output and employment, and we are looking here the first point, the classical theory of employment. The employment theory and the output is the topic number 3. And the topic number 3 we are looking at some point 3.1, different view on the employment theories, means the classical theory of employment. JB says theory of the employment and their view. The Keynesian criticism on the classical theory of employment and the critics on the JB says theory. Then Keynesian theory of employment, which is explained by James Keynes in 1936, and the last one, the critics of Keynesian theory and the importance of Keynesian theory. So 3.1 is about the different views on the employment theories. The question of employment is the important for every person's point of view and the nation point of view. That's why the theories of employment is included in the macroeconomics. So their trade cycle are the effect into the overall economy, and the trade cycle ups and downs, they create problem in economy, problem like the deflation, they create the problem of unemployment. So the study of the consequences of recession, unemployment is the important part of the macroeconomics. So there are the three views in economics about the employment, and the study of the employment theory is the important for the macroeconomics. So three views. The first view is about the classical theory of employment. From Adam Smith to till 1929 Great Depression period is the views of the classical views and classical theory of the employment. Means the classical theory is not only one economics theory, it is the different view of the classical economics. Classical economics from the Adam Smith to the till 1929 all economics thought in include in the economics is the classical thought and classical theory. So Adam Smith, J.V. Say, Professor Pigou, Marshall, J.S. Mill, etc. These people explain their classical theory of employment, and in 1936 the J.M. Keynes is explaining his different theory and critics on the classical views. After that, the modern view about the employment, the Milton Friedman, Baumol, Tobin, Modigliani, these are the people also added in the economic theory. They are the modern view about the employment and their thought about the employment. So there are three views: the classical theory of employment, Keynesian theory of employment, and modern view of employment. For the exam point of view, there are two important points and two important classifications: classical theory of employment and Keynesian theory of employment. So we are looking here the classical theory of employment. So classical economics, the classical economics means the all these people called the classical economics. Adam Smith, David Ricardo, Dr. Marshall, J. Smith, J.V. Say, Professor Pigou, Robertson, Fisher, all these people we call the classical economics, and their view in the economics contribute to development of the economics. So the thought present in the economics from Adam Smith to till 1930 is called the classical thought of the economics. The term classical economics was first used by the Karl Marx to describe the economic thought, to David Ricardo and his the follower included by the Adam Smith also. The classical theory of employment, what is their view about the employment? The classical economic view, the level is a significant measure of the value, and according then capitalistic economy has a natural tendency of create a full employment in the economy. So there is always full employment economy according to classical economics. The classical theory of employment is not a doctrine of any one classical economics or separate theory, but all classical economics has their different views and ideas about the employment. It's combinedly we call the classical theory. So there is one link between all the classical economics. Their link is the full employment is exists in economy, perfect competition exists in economy, wage rate, interest, and the price flexibility. These are the common points they are discussed in their views and their theories. So what is the classical theory of employment? The classical theory of employment is based on the J.B. Say's law of the market, and John Baptist Say the present his law the 1803, and in the book of the treated political economic means the political economy, his thesis is the present and he explained his law. His law is about every supply creates its own demand. The classical theory of employment model is indirectly based on Say's law of market, which is the every supply creates its own demand. The analysis of the classical economics was either micro or the specific. According to Keynesian classical economics refer to the traditional or orthodox principle of the economics that had become accepted by several well-known economics. So several economists accepted the orthodox thought of the economics in the from point of view of the classical economics. In fact, Keynes himself acknowledged this some view, the classical principle, but reject the principle of laissez-faire in his book in 1936. So J. M. Keynes is accepted some point and the principle of classical economics, but the critics on the laissez-faire policy. Here we are looking some principle and some assumption of the classical theory. The classical theory is viewed that there is always full employment and there is always full employment in the economy, and exceptional case is the unemployment. So classical theory is based on the certain assumption. The assumption is always full employment in the economy. The full employment is the situation where everybody get the job, situation where everyone is ready to work at the existing wage rate. So without any difficulty, it's called the full employment. So full employment where not anyone become empty and everybody get the job. So there is always full employment. There is no chance of the unemployment according to classical theory. The next is the closed economy. According to classical economics, there is no interaction between the countries. There is no export imports and self-adjusting and perfectly competitive economy. So they assume that there is the closed economy. The effect on the laissez-faire policy means there is no intervention of the government in the market. The market is automatically controlled, adjust with the demand and supply. So there is no intervention, and whenever there is involuntary unemployment due to the interference of the government. So there is no interference of the government in the economy according to classical economics and classical theory. Next is the existence of the perfect competition where the large number of buyers, large number of sellers in the market, the same price, absence of travel cost, and there is the perfect knowledge to buyers and sellers is the existence of perfect competition. Next assumption is about the classical theory, the autonomous price mechanism. All the economic transactions based on the free price mechanism. The free functioning of the price mechanism through the forces of demand and supply ensure the full employment equilibrium. So whole income will be spent on the expenditure. The next assumption of the classical economics. So earning of the income and spending of the income, there is no time lag between these two. So whole income is divided in 2 parts, consumption plus saving, and total output is equal to consumption, and that's why the saving equal to investment and income equal to expenditure according to classical economics. The money is only medium of exchange. The classical economists assume that the money is used only for medium of exchange. They not think the other function of money like the store of value, repayment of the old loans, and they think only about the money used for the medium of exchange. So saving and investment is always equal. According to classical economics, rate of interest is the factor which is the create equilibrium between the saving and investment, because the higher rate of interest, the higher saving, the lower rate of interest, the lower saving. And the other hand, vice versa, when the rate of interest is the decrease and less, that time the higher rate of investment from the investors, and the vice versa. So the rate of interest is the factor which is the create the equilibrium between these two. So they think that the saving is equal to the investment. So these are the assumptions. Also we looking the same assumption. The price and wage flexibility. According to the classical economics, there is the price and wage flexibility. Whenever the full employment achieve and unemployment create in the economy, there is a possible to reduce in the price and wage rate and control on the unemployment and create the full employment level. So price and wage rate is the flexible according to classical economics. Next, their assumption is about the time. So their theory is applied only to the long run. They think that there is the short run situation is not important, and long run tendency of the economy, there is a create equilibrium between the demand and supply. So applied only in the long run according to classical economics. So the other assumption of their theory, there is the direct and proportionate relation between the money wages and real wages of economy. Capital stock and technical knowledge remain fixed in the short run. Labor is the homogeneous factor according to the classical economics. The thought from the Adam Smith till to the Great Depression 1929 is the classical thought and classical economic view. About the employment, they think that there is always full employment and exceptional case of the unemployment. So there is always full employment according to classical economics and the exceptional case of the unemployment. So explanation of their theory, according to the equilibrium in product market, every production is the so overproduction is the impossible. So every production will be sale in the market. When considering all above assumption, all the classical economics below that believe that there would be no government intervention in the economy, and the economy is the equilibrium position at the full employment level. According to JB say, every supply creates its own demand because the economy produces the as much demand as good produced. That point of view, demand is equal to supply. Whatever goods are the produced, all goods are the sold according to their theory. So therefore, there is a never less and overproduction in economy. There is not possible to overproduction in economy because the supply is equal to the demand. The classical economics has relied on the sales law of market explain the full employment situation. According to the JB says theory and the classical theory, suppose there are the two part in the economy. There is the two sector, firm sector and household sector. The firm sector is the provide the income to the household sector and purchase the factor of production and given the money or income for rent, wages, interest and profit form. So this 10,000 crore rupees is get income to the household. Household they spend this income on their expenses 10,000 crore rupees and purchase the goods and services. And so this is the income flow from firm to household and household to firm. So there is always demand equal to supply. And again the next diagram, if suppose there is the increase in production of the goods, so increase in supply in the economy, and that's why increase in employment and increase in income. So increase in production means increase in supply and increase in employment and increase in income and therefore increase in demand. So whenever we increase the production, we need the increase of the supply of goods and therefore we need some people in employment. So these people get the higher income, increase in income, and the people demand the goods, so increase in demand. That's why the supply is equal to demand according to classical theory. The explanation of the theory with the diagram, according to them, on the x-axis there is the employment measure and the y-axis we measure the real wages on the y-axis. So at the point of E, there is the equilibrium position where the demand for labor and supply of labor is the equal at the E point. AB point where the unemployment is created, that's why we cut down the wage rate from VP mean wage rate price 1 reduced to wage rate price F, and that time we reach again the full employment level. The next diagram, there is also E point. This suggests that the demand and supply equilibrium, the demand of the labor and supply of labor. So the S1 SN is the supply curve of labor and DTN is the demand curve of the labor. E is the point where the equilibrium of the economy and the employment is the create between these two, and the DS point where the unemployment create and therefore they reduce the wage rate and create the employment into this level. So explanation of that theory, the corresponding equilibrium level of the output at the equilibrium level of the employment in YF. In this diagram, this equilibrium of the output level is also called the full employment output level. So in the classical theory, is believed that the full employment is achieved automatically due to the wage price flexibility, and cut down the wage rate is the possible to achieve the full employment. Ultimately, the real wage rate will be declined to the where the aggregate labor demand is exactly matched with the aggregate supply. So it may be added here that the volume of output and the employment in the classical theory are determined by on supply side market for the output. So since the classical model is supply determined one, it says that the equal proportionate decrease in both money wages and price level will not change the labor supply. So there are some important points of the classical theory. The full employment is the common and natural tendency of the capitalistic economy. Unemployment is the exceptional. It is the voluntary and constructive. The theory is the complete belief that the perfect competition market in the economy, there is the expenditure and income are equal. So income equal to expenditure. The next the thing is the imbalance in the economy automatically removed from the price mechanism. The rate of wages, price, interest are the flexible. Also, the government does not interfere in the economy. Laissez-faire policy adopted by the government, saving equal to investment, and money is only used for the medium of exchange, and they think that the demand is equal to into the long run. So aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply in the long run. They assume for their theory for the long run. This theory is only a clarification from the supply side, and the demand side is completely ignored. So as Keynes and others have criticized, it has seen the foundation for the employment theory also. So the next lecture we looking some critics on the classical theory. For this point of view, classical theory of employment, you refer to some books, the M.L. Jingan macroeconomic theory, H.L. Ahuja macroeconomic theory, Rasa R.G. S.P. Adhav, the business economics macro, Prashant publication, Jalgaon. These books are also available market and the library. So you can refer this book for your study and references. Assignment question will be asked for you. They explain the classical theory of employment in detail for 15 marks. So this question will be asked in your internal as well as the final examination. So thank you for watching this video. The next time we will be looking with the next point, the critics on the classical theory.